Okay, welcome to another episode of the Private Practice podcast. So pleased that you're here. And yes, we're on the road again, as you can probably hear. It's Friday, and just had a flashback to The Cure. I was going to say, it's Friday, I'm in love. And actually, I am. I'm in love with my private practice and being able to have days off. I hope that you're in love with your practice too, but if you're not, we're going to hopefully try and fix that today, because I want to talk with you about 5 signs that you've got a sustainability problem with your business. The reason that I want to talk about this is so that you can fix them if you've got them. Okay, so the reason this is really, 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 really important is because, of course, we want to make sure that you're loving the business and that you're helping people. I know if you're listening to this podcast, you're most likely a therapist and you're most likely in business, but maybe you don't really feel like you're in a business for all kinds of reasons. Maybe the clients aren't there, maybe the money isn't there, all the things. So I feel, after working with so many women in private practice, that it could be that you might have a sustainability problem. So let me explain the 5 signs, and then you can figure out for yourself whether or not this could be what's going on for you too. Okay, so before I start, I just want to say, I'm manifesting a house at the moment. I am so excited, but this really cool thing happened, and I want to share it with you. So as part of the manifestation, of course, I want to visualize the house, and in my mind, before I even saw pictures or anything like that, in my mind, I created my ideal new home. It has a seamless indoor-outdoor living area. I can be in the outdoor area even when it's raining with Buddy, and it's still great. There's a couch out there, there's a bench out there, there's storage out there, there's a little coffee table that's got like a fire in it, like one of those little fire pit things. I love it so much. It's got floorboards throughout, it's mostly white, it's tonal colours. I really love boho vibes, but this is modern. It's like 2025 boho vibes. It's got everything that closes and shuts. It far exceeds my expectations. It's got 3 bedrooms. One is a study, one's my bedroom, and one is a spare bedroom. It is like really airy and light and bright. I've got a beautiful fireplace. It's electric. I just flick on a switch and boom, I've got fire. It's got a massive old-fashioned mantle around it, and above that there's either a great big mirror with a great big really ornate gold frame, or there's a great big TV and things like that. And so I've really been picturing it, even down to what I want the furniture to look like and how comfortable it is, and imagining myself in it, right? And then so like most days, I'm allowing myself to sort of, in my mind, like it's a little movie, I'm unlocking the front door and then I'm walking through my house, and it's all the things that I've been manifesting and more, right? It's even better than what I anticipated, and I'm just like blown away, and I'm like nearly crying when I'm walking through it because I can't believe it's mine. So one of the other things, like total side note, one of the other things, I use Google Meets for my online sessions when I run workshops and stuff like that. And probably about 2 years ago now, I had a background on my Google Meet, and it was like quite modern, and it looked like polished concrete. You could see like a staircase in the back. If you use Google Meets, I'm sure you can go and have a look and you see the one. It's mostly grey, and mostly grey, looked very modern. And one of my clients said to me, "Oh my gosh, is that where you live? Is that your house?" And I was like, "No, this is just a wallpaper from Google." And she said, "Oh, I was thinking to myself, wow, you'd really made it." And for some reason that stuck with me. So now when I'm visualizing my new house, my default, because of my old money stories, was to always like downplay everything, underplay everything, take, you know, I guess things that nobody else would really want and just try and justify like why it's good enough for me. There's things that nobody else wants. Um, like when I got my last house, it was in Hastings, and I got it in Hastings because I thought I couldn't afford, or I didn't deserve, or I didn't belong in a better area. Like I didn't. It turned out to be a great move. It did. It turned out to be a great move. I mean, I more than doubled my investment on the house in, how long was I there? I got it in 2014, sold it in 2019. Yeah, I bought it for, what was it, 328, I think, and sold it for 710 or 720. So yeah, I mean, it worked out great. But my my mindset when I bought it was like, I don't deserve anything good. Anywho, so I started to become aware after I went to Dalesford and had all those aha money mindset breakthroughs that I told you about previously. Um, I started to think, oh, like, why am I downplaying even my house? So I've started to play with the energy of allowing myself to have a house that feels like I made it. And anyway, then, the universe happens, right? And so does Meta. And I don't know how it works, but it's like Meta read my mind and started giving me images on my phone of interiors to houses, just showing me, I guess, what other people had been doing. And I started screenshotting them, the ones that I really liked. Started screenshotting them. I was like, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I put them in an album on my phone called my kick-ass, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that, called my, what, dream home. And anyway, put them all in there, loving it, loving it, loving it. And anyway, yesterday I was in the bath because, I have a long bath at the end of every day. It's like how I decompress. And it's my routine, all that kind of stuff. I love it. Candle, water, books. I'm doing logic puzzles at the moment, loving it. But yeah, and I thought, oh, I'll just have a quick look and see if there's any more inspiration, because I really want to get in the vibe of like, manifest my dream home. And this thing popped up. It was a competition for a house. And I thought, oh, what's this? And I had a look and I thought, yeah, maybe I do want to enter this competition. Let's go and have a look. Clicked on the link. Website came up and it didn't really show me much. But I had this feeling like you need to enter this competition. I didn't even know really what was required to enter it. But I just had the feeling, no, you need to enter it. But I told myself, so that was my higher self speaking. And then my real self was like, oh my gosh, no, you don't need to be doing anything like this. Forget it. You don't ever win competitions. Like, other people do that. You don't. Like, anyway. And, it's like ego versus higher self. It's the angel and the devil on your shoulders, right? And anyway, so I got out of it and I went back into Instagram or Facebook, whatever I was scrolling through at the time. And anyway, the feeling came back and I thought, oh, okay. And I just felt compelled to scroll backwards and try and find this competition again. So then I spent, I don't know how long, back scrolling through everything, hoping, praying that this competition was going to come up, because it was an ad. So it's like, wasn't, I don't know, I think like ads kind of disappear from feeds and stuff like that versus actual content. But anyway, I stayed with it and I found it again. And then I tried to open it and I tried to enter the competition, and I had some form I needed to fill out that I couldn't do on my phone, could only do on my desktop, which was annoying. So then I sent myself the link on Messenger. Later that night, I was just about to go to bed and Buddy and I were packing up, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I was going to enter that competition. So I turn on the computer again, which is annoying because who wants to reboot a computer once you've like shut everything down? But I did. I reboot the computer and then I go to my messages in Facebook and then I open it up again, get the link, go to the thing, I fill out the form, do all of that, hit submit. And then I realized I hadn't even looked at the prize. Hadn't even looked at the prize. All I knew was the prize was a house. And that was it. So anyway, I thought, yeah, okay, better go and have a look. And when I went and had a look, it had something like 47 pictures. Like, I'm not even joking. That was the actual number. I had 47 photos of the house. And I started clicking on them, and it turned into like a gallery, and then you could just like swipe on the computer. So it was like taking up my whole screen, each individual photo. And the first photo was when you open up the front door, you see a white staircase with floorboards, with a great big mirror, with an area on the right that had a door where you could put your bags, your shoes, your coat. So it was like totally sealed off, big glass door. The next photo was a bedroom, and guess what? It was boho. And it had a great big, it was like a massive bed, and the bed head was like the wicker, and it was natural. It wasn't painted or anything like that. It was there, and the whole vibe of the room was boho. It had it had pendant lights hanging down that were also wicker, and they were turned on. It had like a rug on the floor. There was a boho themed rug. It had nightstands with like the succulents and the plants, and then I flick on the next picture. It's the kitchen, and the kitchen was white, all white, and it had a great big island. And then on the other side of the island, it had some chairs. But what I really don't like is those islands where they've got the chair on the other side, but you can't actually pull your chair under because you whack your knees on the island. So this one has like a bench, I guess, on top of the island that comes out so that you can put your seat under while you're sitting on it, if that makes sense. Anyway, love that. And then it had a picture of the lounge room. And guess what? There's a heater. And the heater is hybrid. You can flick it on at the flick of a switch. And guess what's above the heater? A great big mirror. And then there's a media room. And guess what? There's a fireplace. And there's a mirror. And there's a TV. And anyway, it was just every single photo was, I want to say, like 99% the picture that I had in my mind. I kid you not. It was the picture that I had in my mind brought to life here in these photos. And I couldn't believe it. I started to cry. I got really emotional. I don't even know why. I just started crying. Happy tears. But I just felt very emotional. And I felt like, oh my gosh, maybe it really is possible. Like, my house does exist. And then I felt like, okay, the universe needed me to enter this competition. And, I'm excited for the outcome. Like, I don't know if I'll win or not. Like, I'm a realist. I understand the chances are slim. But what I'm taking from it is the universe is showing me, hey, your house does exist. It might be this exact one over here, or it could be something really similar over there. It doesn't matter. The point is, what you want exists, and it's in your orbit. And now it's just been brought closer to me because it's been moved out of my mind, and now here it is into the real world. And that feels so exciting. It feels so exciting. And I feel like because I went and entered that competition, I've also now shown the universe, hey, I'm serious about this. Let's make it happen. Let's speed it up. And guess what? When I was looking at the photos of the house, my feeling was, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I wanted, and more and better. Because it had like it was like a whole house, but it was a separate sort of standalone cottage. How's that? I know. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you because it's just so exciting. Anywho, for those of you who are following me on my home manifestation journey. Okay, so let's get on to the 5 signs to know whether or not you've got a sustainability issue with the practice. Okay, maybe you do, maybe you don't. These are the 5 signs that will help you figure it out. Okay, sign number 1 is there's feast or famine in the business. So you've got a business, you got the business name, you got the ABN, you're good to go. You've got your qualification, confident in doing the work. You know when you do the work, it works, it's effective, it helps, it's powerful. Your clients love you when you've got clients. But it's either raining or there's a drought when it comes to the bookings and the clients. It's feast or it's famine. It's this, inconsistency in terms of the bookings. That's the first sign that maybe you've got a sustainability problem. So what it can look like is if you've ever said to yourself, nobody books in over Christmas, no one books in over Easter, it's school holidays, no one's going to book in, right? All those kinds of things. And that's what you're seeing in your business. That's a sign that you've got a sustainability problem because other practices don't have that issue, right? Sustainable practices don't have that issue. They have consistency with the bookings. It's not feast or famine, right? Yes, there's always going to be ups and downs, and sometimes they might have a wait list, and sometimes they might have one, but there's only 1 or 2 people on it. Sometimes they might have one and there's 30 people on it. So yes, there's going to be fluctuations and variations, and there's always seasons in business too. That's something different, but there's the seasons, it's like spring when it's all growth and everything's happening. There's winter when it's quiet, all the things in between. But generally speaking, if you're experiencing, I'm really busy, I'm run off my feet, and then a couple of weeks later it's crickets, that's a sign that you might have a sustainability problem. The second sign is you've got inconsistency when it comes to the money. In fact, you've got a financial set point with the money in the business, just like you do in your personal life with your personal money and everything. You've maybe noticed that you've also got a financial set point with the practice. And maybe it's quite low. Maybe not, but maybe it's quite low. But whatever it is, it just feels like no matter what you do, you always seem to be hovering around this fee. You've tried perhaps introducing new services. Maybe you've changed the fee for your sessions. Maybe you've introduced new products. Maybe you've tried to get passive income going. Like, it's not because of lack of trying or anything like that. But the reality is sometimes you've got, money coming in and it's more than you expected. And then other times you don't have the amount that you need. And so you panic and you freak out and you're like, how am I going to fix it? And somehow you always manage to pay your bills, but you don't always manage to pay yourself. Does that make sense? That's what I mean by like the inconsistency of the money. And you want to commit to things, right? Like maybe you want to commit to going and doing a course, but you're just not confident that you'll be able to meet the monthly repayments, right? You want to do this course, maybe it's EMDR, maybe it's Gottman's or something. And yeah, the person delivering it is like, here's what it costs. If you need a payment plan, here's a payment plan. You're delighted that there's a payment plan. You think you can manage it, but because there's the inconsistency with the money, you're not sure. And you think to yourself, what happens if I have like a really bad month and I just don't have the money to cover the cost of this course that I really want to do? And so you don't do it. And, you see that you're still on the feast or the famine, the feast or the famine. The inconsistency with the money. Okay, so that's an example there. The third sign that you could have a sustainability problem with your private practice is that you're working a lot longer than you expected you would be, that you anticipated, that you really, really want to be. And, it kind of doesn't feel good. you're feeling like the business owns you, not the other way around. What I mean by that is, I don't know, like maybe if you are coming from paid employment, you're used to having, you know, a time where you needed to start work and a time where you finished. Maybe you're used to doing 8:30 till 5. And maybe you're used to like your morning routine. You get up, you do all the things, you go to the drive through and get your cup of coffee and, your smashed avocado on toast. You eat it in the car on the way down to work, and you get to work and, you say hello to everybody in the kitchen, get another cup of coffee, take it to your desk, start working, you know, shut the computer down at lunchtime for an hour, go have your lunch, come back, do some more work. Gets to 4:30 and you start tuning out and start packing up early, watching the clock. Gets to 5 o'clock, boom, you can go home. On the way home, you're thinking to yourself about how frustrating it is that you get paid only this for the work that you do, because you've got friends who are in private practice making 3 times your hourly wage. So it kind of sucks like that, and it doesn't really feel right or fair. And you're frustrated because you don't like the way your employer does it. You feel out of alignment with the way your employer handles things. And you know that you'd rather do it differently, and that there's a better way of doing the things that they do. Maybe it's how they onboard a new client. Maybe it's how they handle cancellations, or maybe it's how they take payments, or maybe it's their philosophy in their business, or maybe it's their goals and their KPIs, or maybe it's the support they provide or they don't provide. But you drive home and you think about it, and you're really frustrated, and you ruminate about it. And the more that you do, it's like a domino effect. The more that you think about it, the more that you think about it, and the more things feel out of alignment, and the stronger the feeling of incongruence between how you want to help your clients and how you've got to help them the way that your employer wants you to do it becomes stronger and deeper and more and more and more noticeable, until eventually you just can't keep working for them anymore, and it's time for you to do it for yourself. And so you start making plans, and you start thinking about, what would you call yourself if you actually did go and do it on your own? What would a good business name be? Is the domain available for that, I wonder? I wonder how I can make a logo. Maybe I should look on Canva. Maybe I can make a logo on Canva. I wonder if somebody's got templates on how to make logos. Okay, I've gone and I've got my business name. That feels really exciting. And I've got my domain name. That feels really exciting. And I'm in Canva every spare minute I've got. In fact, I'm not even going out to lunch anymore. I'm staying at the office, and I'm closing my office door, and I'm clicking into Canva, and I'm eating my lunch while I'm tinkering around on Canva with brand colors and making logos. And it just feels so, 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 so good. And then I start to think to myself, I wonder if I should make a website. So maybe I start even making a website. And all of this is happening. And then I start to think, okay, well, I don't want to quit my job because I need the money right now. So maybe I will see clients after hours. So I'll do that. So you make your website, you do it in Wix, or if you're like me, do it in GoDaddy. And you're pretty proud of your website because, it's not perfect, but you did it yourself, right? You taught yourself how to do this. You put it together. You're so proud of it. And, you're ready to see clients. And so you say on your website what your hours are. And, within a little bit of time, people start inquiring and people start booking and stuff like that. And then you decide, do you know what? This feels really good. I've just seen 2 clients this week, and I got $160 for each of them. That's $320 I got for 2 hours. In my job where I'm paid to do the exact same work, I only get $60 an hour, $120 for 2 hours. That's a difference of $200. Why am I even at this place? And so then you start to make a plan for how you can transition out of your reliable, stable, but underpaid paid employment and go and help more people in a way that feels better because it's in better alignment with your values and who you want to help and the way that you want to do it, stuff like that. And so anyway, eventually you transition out and you're so excited because you're thinking, this is great. If I'm making $160 an hour, that's the equivalent of almost 3 hours of work at my other place. So I can work less and make the same, like match my old income. This is going to be awesome. And you do the sums and you figure out, hey, guess what? I only need to work 2 days a week to make what I was making at that other place working 5 days. So it feels really good. And so anyway, you start and you're loving it and clients kind of come and there's ad hoc appointments and and then there's inconsistencies with the money and then there's inconsistencies with the clients. Then you start to realize, holy smoke, I have no clue what I'm doing. And yeah, you kind of like have a little bit of a panic. You don't know what you're doing. The realization hits you. How are other people doing this? How are other people doing this? And what do they know that I don't know? And you start chasing. It's when the chasing begins. So you're going to start speaking to your mates, speaking to your friends, people that you graduated with, people in your online communities, all the people at your chapter meetings, with your membership body, all of that. And you're asking them, hey, how are you doing it? Like, how are you keeping your books full? And everybody's giving you their 5 cents and you're lapping it up because you're desperate and you go home and then you think, okay, right, this is what I've got to do. I've got to post more on social media. So you start like posting more on social media. You check your website, you go and get registered in lots of directories and you're doing all of the things. And before you know it, instead of just working 2 days a week from, well, not even 9 to 5, it'd probably be like 9 to 3 or something. Instead of just doing that, what's happened without you even being consciously aware of it is you don't have an off mode. You are on all the time. It's like somebody else might even refer to it as an obsession because it's on your mind all the time. How am I going to get a client? How am I going to pay the lease this month? How am I going to pay myself? How much longer before it all works out? What am I missing? And your default is going to be to do more things. And that default is going to be fed by you seeking the things to do. And that's going to look like you asking people constantly how they're doing it. What are they doing? Because you feel like you're missing something. And so you go to work, 9 o'clock, and you might only have one client that day. But you're busy. You're busy and no one can deny it. There's no one on the planet that can say you are not busy because you friggin' well are. You're there, you're writing captions, you're recording reels, you're posting on Facebook, you're writing and updating your Psychology Today profile, you're writing emails, do you know what I mean? You are doing. You're watching webinars. You're joining people's free workshops. You're downloading the free PDFs and you're trying to use them. You're doing. And then it gets to the end of the day and you realize, okay, yikes, it's the end of the day. I should probably pack up and go home. So you do, but it's with reluctance because you feel guilty because, hey, you've been working so hard today. You ate lunch at the computer and you weren't doing anything fun. You were working. But you're feeling guilty because you didn't get a new client today and you're not sure if money's going to come in tonight, if it's going to come in tomorrow, any of the things. So you go home and all the way home you're thinking about all the things you didn't get time to do. And so that doesn't feel really good. It's more pressure. And you go home and then maybe you make yourself dinner and stuff like that. And maybe if you've got a family or a partner or you're living with people, they're probably wanting to spend time with you. They're probably wanting to have dinner with you and, watch Netflix with you and stuff like that. And you feel kind of annoyed because they're taking up time that you could be working on the business. And you feel guilty that you're feeling annoyed or resentful that you've got to sit there in front of, you know, um, watching Nine Perfect Strangers on Prime because the family wants your company. So you can't even concentrate on the film that you're watching with them all. And so your mind is thinking about the email that you've got to write. It's thinking about the posts that you've got to make for tomorrow. It's thinking about, should you start a YouTube channel? Should you start a podcast? Should you do all of these other things? And so you're not even really, you're present in your body, but you're not present in your mind. And then soon enough, your family start to feel it, right? And then you end up saying, oh, I'll be back in a minute. And you make an excuse to leave the room and off you go, and you're on your phone or you're on your laptop or you go into your study and you boot up the computer because you're just going to do something really quickly. But before you know it, you lost track of time and you're working again. And eventually you've got to go to bed. So, you go to bed annoyed again because even sleep is an inconvenience because it's robbing you of getting a client. It's robbing you of making money that the business needs you to be making, right? So go to bed, and instead of going to bed happy and smiling and relaxed and joyful and, hopeful and optimistic and all those sort of nice things, you're going to bed thinking about all the things you didn't do today, all the things you've got to do tomorrow, questioning yourself, wondering if this is ever going to work, and all those kinds of things. So, yeah, while you thought you could work less and make bucket loads more money, helping the right people in the way that they actually need to be helped and want to be helped, what's happened is you've swapped your 9 to 5 for a 24/7, and it's not yet paying off. If that's happening to you or something similar, right? Might not be exactly the same, but maybe it's something similar-ish. You've got a sustainability problem. The fourth one, and I've probably covered it, no I haven't, but the fourth one is if you've noticed that you're questioning yourself more and that the self-doubt is creeping in more and more and more, if you've noticed that you're saying to yourself, what am I doing wrong? What am I missing? How come everybody else can do this and I can't? What's wrong with me? When's it all going to work out for me? If you're thinking all those kinds of things, it's possible you've got a sustainability problem. It comes about because you think that the solution is doing stuff, right? Doing more stuff. It's our default. We always, and it's happened to me too. That's why I know it. Back when I was, okay, so remember when I said to you, like I'd been in the medical clinics for a long time, the bulk billing medical clinics for a long time. And I never really had to worry about a referral, like literally no word of a lie. I would just, grab my wallet and my keys and my mobile phone. I would go to work and, I'd walk in to reception. I got behind reception. There were these, plastic in trays. Mine was on top and it would always be full of paper referrals that doctors had written the day before. And then I would go and I would ask the girls at reception, which room am I in today? Because I was always in a different consulting room. I'd find out which room I was in, go to the consulting room, turn on the computer, open up the diary, it would be full. I never really had to worry about that. So I thought that I was in private practice and I thought that I was being successful. Anyway, it wasn't until I moved out of there, and you'll remember that whole story. If you don't, it's in previous episodes. If you want to hear it again, let me know and I'll retell it, no problem. But anyway, so I moved out of there and went and got a serviced office, Quest Building in Frankston. That was my very first place. And yeah, I was out of sight, out of mind. all kinds of issues because I realised couldn't do bulk billing anymore, needed to charge. It was a nightmare. I messed it up. I had no clue what I was doing, all of the things. And my diary was not sustainable. It was hit and miss. It was ad hoc. And yeah, I thought the solution was doing. And I was doing so much that in my community, I had been nicknamed the implementation aider, like the Terminator, but for implementing. So I get it. If you feel like, yeah, that's you and that you're doing, like I get it. It happens to us all, right? Because we don't know any different. We don't know any different. And so when you're doing all of the stuff and you're working longer than you anticipated and stuff like that, what ends up happening is it's not working. And so because there's an absence of understanding why it's not working, the only thing that you can do is look at yourself. And so that's where the doubt comes in. And that's where the imposter syndrome comes in. Maybe I'm a fraud. Maybe I wasn't really meant to have a private practice. Maybe I should go back to my paid job. Maybe I made a mistake. I'll just give it another month. All of that. And that affects the actions that you take and the things that you do, but it also affects the results that you get in your private practice. And so if that's you and you're doing all of the things, and now on top of that, there's all of this self-doubt coming up, then that's happening because you've got a sustainability issue. All right. And then the last thing is the last of the 5 signs that you might have a sustainability issue is if you're feeling like you're in hustle mode. Sustainable practices don't have a hustle mode. Unless they're maybe in launch. Maybe maybe they're going to have a big retreat for their clients, or maybe they've created a course for their clients or something like that. Then, of course, in those sort of stages of the business and stuff like that, when they're launching stuff, yeah, they're going to be busier than usual. But generally, they don't hustle. Successful private practice owners don't hustle. And the reason that they don't is because everything is consistent. They've got stability. They're not doubting themselves. They've got systems in place that support them, that pay them, that support the clients, that bring clients to the business, that attract referrals and all that kind of stuff. So those business owners don't hustle. They spend more of their time working with their clients than they do working on the business, than they do marketing, like actively marketing, I would call it. Like, you always have to market, don't get me wrong, but there's a difference between active and passive marketing, right? They do more passive marketing. So if you're feeling like you're in hustle mode, and maybe that looks like putting pressure on yourself to get another reel out there, or putting pressure on yourself to, I don't know, get another client, do another thing to get a client, do another thing to get the money. Like, it's that, forward moving pressure. It's energy that's driven by scarcity mindset, fear mindset, lack mindset, all that kind of stuff. If you're in that hustle mode, then that's absolutely a sign that you've got a sustainability problem with the business. So, yeah, as I said, like, a business that's sustainable just doesn't have those things going on. It just doesn't. It's like calm. It's really calm. And again, I'm not saying that it's perfect. There's always going to be variations, right? But in general, by and large, a sustainable private practice has ups and downs and fluctuations that are really manageable because they have systems and processes in place. They have income, they have a bottom line, they have revenue that is increasing. So you might have a set point at the moment with your finances in your business. Maybe your set point is, I just can't break $1,000 months, right? Maybe that's your set point. You just, it doesn't matter what you do, how hard you work, You're doing so much and you just can't break that $1,000 set point. A sustainable practice doesn't deal with that, doesn't experience, that. A sustainable private practice, usually, depending on, you know, their intention and the type of business model and their philosophy and, how they, like what they want to experience in their business, usually they are experiencing gradual and steady increases quarter on quarter. Just like one of the ladies did. I don't know if you saw it. Like, today's Friday. I posted it today. You will hear this episode tomorrow, being Saturday. But you can go back to my Instagram and you can have a look and you can see there was one of the ladies in Momentum. She'd been in it exactly to the day, 12 weeks, and doubled her income. And she did it without hustling. She did it without doing more things. She did it working less. She got more of her personal time back. And she's feeling excited about her business again. Not ashamed or embarrassed or guilty. The self-doubt is shifting as the confidence is moving in. The confidence is becoming more and more. It's making the self-doubt be less and less. She's starting to see that she's capable. She hadn't believed that before. She went into it thinking she could, but she realised she couldn't. And now she's building a practice that is creating sustainability for her. And she's got proof of that in black and white. She's got proof of it right there. So that's what I'm saying. There's a difference between having a private practice and having one that's sustainable and one that's not. But yeah, the 5 signs of a sustainable the 5 signs that your private practice could have a problem with sustainability are feast or famine with bookings and money. It's having inconsistency with the bookings and the money, not being able to plan, not being able to commit to things because of the fear around, will I be able to follow through with it? It's, doing a lot more work than you've probably ever done for any other employer. You thought you would be working less and have this great lifestyle, but in fact you have minimal lifestyle and nearly everything, all your energy is going on to the business, but still nothing's really changing. You're questioning yourself, wondering if you made the right decision, wondering if you're really cut out for this, wondering what you're missing, wondering what you're doing wrong, wondering why other people can do it and you can't. Wondering how you can, get the help that you need, wondering whether or not there's another webinar or there's another free thing that you can grab that might have the answer. And then the last one is being in hustle mode, chasing. And it's not just chasing like, oh, I better do more posts on socials. It's not just about the marketing side of things and getting yourself in directories and stuff like that. You're probably also, and it's mainly due to a combination of the hustle and the self-doubt, you're thinking now that you're not good enough, perhaps. And so you feel like, oh, well, if I just had another course, if I just had another qualification. Maybe it's because I've only got a bachelor's. Maybe it's because I've only got a diploma. Maybe it's because I'm a social worker and not a psychologist. Maybe it's because I'm a play therapist and I don't have a master's. So yeah, maybe I should go and maybe that's the missing thing. So you start like looking around for more courses, more qualifications, things to do. And even that feels like a big commitment. And you don't really want to do it. You're just doing it because you feel like, I don't know, I just have no other idea why it's not working. This must be it. I can't think of anything else. I want you to know you can have a sustainable practice irrespective of the level of qualification or the PD that you've done or any of that, right? You can have a sustainable private practice that's completely bootstrapped. One of the things that I want to share with you that might help is, I think I told you before, like I use Henry. I'm a private practice. I use Henry for everything now. Henry is spelled HNRY for those of you who haven't heard it, but it's online. It's for Australia and New Zealand, and it's for people in business. It is like, I don't know, a platform that does all your, it's a team of accountants and bookkeepers. They do everything pretty much. Okay. It replaces your current bookkeeper, your current accountant, your Xero, your QuickBooks, your My. It replaces all of those. It's capped at $1,500 a year, irrespective of if you have to have quarterlies done. They do your quarterly tax prep, and then they pay the tax on your behalf. They using money that they've deducted from payments. Anyway, you can go and check it out. But anyway, one of the things that they've got is an app, and on the app it gives you a bar chart that shows you month on month what your income was. So it shows you what your profit was in one color, right? So that's one vertical bar. And then right beside that, in another color, it's got a bar for your expenses, like your costs. And then it's got a green line, green wiggly line that connects all of the bars that shows, what your profit was. So one's revenue, one's revenue, one's expenses, and the other one's profit, right? When I first started seeing this visual of my money, I was like, holy smoke, I had no idea when I compared my revenue with my profit with my expenses, like what it all looked like. And I knew I wanted to reduce my costs, which I thought I'd already done. But seeing it in black and white or in a coloured picture made me realise there was still a lot of room for improvement. And I made it a focus for my next quarter that I would reduce the costs of doing my business as much as I possibly could. I know it's never going to be zero. You're always going to have expenses, right? Even Henry's an expense. Like, I get that. So you're always going to have expenses, but I wanted to get it as low as I possibly could. Last month, right? So I know this because like the bar chart it gets updated every single day, but it's the 4th or 5th of June today. And the other day I was looking at my chart and it showed for May, and my revenue was only a couple of $100 different to my profit. That meant that almost everything I made in my business in May was profit. It's almost unheard of. I haven't done it yet, but as I'm just saying this to you now, I'm sharing it out loud, I'm thinking maybe I should go and look at the percentage of what my costs were last month to my profit and my revenue, and just see, and maybe even look at what it was on previous ones and maybe do an episode on that for you. But the thing is, when you're in private practice, you can have a private practice that runs lean. And most of the income can be profit. You don't have to be spending bucket loads of money. But anyway, I don't know how I got onto that. I've totally lost my train of thought. We were talking about sustainability and things like that. But know your numbers, like the Women in Momentum. One of the things that I really encourage all of them to do is track their numbers, because you want to be able to make data-driven decisions. Like somebody was saying to me last week, she said, I was really looking forward to coming along to the 90-day planning session, but I can't because I've got clients, which is a good problem to have. So she couldn't come because she had clients. She asked me if it would be recorded. I said, yes, absolutely. I'll send you a link when it's done. And then she said to me, I still want to do a 90-day plan. Um, I what do you need? And so I said to her, well, can you flick me over your last 90-day plan and let me know how you went with it? Like what worked, what didn't, what was ticked off, what wasn't, what were the results, all of that. So she has a look at the plan and she sends it over to me and she's like, um, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I've done everything that was on my plan. I've done everything. So now I kind of don't know what to do. I guess I'd really like some more clients. So maybe I should just focus on that. But if you've got any ideas on what I should be doing, let me know. And I said to her, well, we're not just going to guess. Of course you want more clients, but we're not just going to guess. Like, can you flick me over your KPI tracker and I'll have a look at it and I'll be able to know pretty quickly what we need to focus on for the upcoming quarter. So she said, yeah, sure. And she said, I'm not sure if I filled it all out. So I'll go and do that and then I'll come back to you. She went and filled it all out. And then she comes back to me and she sends me a message and says, oh my goodness, I've just done my KPI tracker. Brooklyn, I've doubled my income. She hadn't even realized that she doubled her income in 12 weeks. She hadn't even realized. And she was blown away. And I wrote back to her and I said, oh my gosh, I'm celebrating. I'm like, this is so good. I'm celebrating with you. I'm celebrating with you. Like, tell me, like, what results had you been expecting? She said, hang on, let me show you. And then she sent me a screenshot of her numbers and absolutely it showed that, yeah, she doubled her income. And then she said, I said to her, yeah, I was just wondering, like, before you did this, where was your mind? Like, what were you thinking? I wanted to know if she was in her head thinking it wasn't working and then seeing it in black and white made her realize, OMG, it is working. Like, because sometimes we just get so caught up in it's not working, I don't know what I'm doing, what's the next thing. So I wanted her to just be aware that that's her old mindset. And now maybe with this new awareness that it is working and she is capable and she can do it, I wonder if we can double her income again. I know. And then I was like so excited. I was so, so, so excited. And then today, like I'm driving here. So I've just come down to Phillip Island for like a little bit of a drive. And I want to go have a bit of a look around, some cool stuff here. I don't get to come down here that often. So anyway, and I was thinking to myself how cool it was. Like imagine having the realization that you were able to double your income in 12 weeks. And I was thinking about how awesome it was, but I was thinking about it from the mindset of being her business coach. And I realized, well, hang on, what if it happened to me too? What if I also tripled my income in 12 weeks? What would that feel like? And I just felt like, yes, I want that. But then I was like, could I do it? I don't know. Can I? Is it possible? Could I? And straight away, I understood what it's like for my clients when I say to them, here's a strategy, here's a technique, try this, try that. They're wanting the outcome, but they're thinking, I don't know, can I do it? Am I capable? Will it work for me? They have the doubt. And yeah, that's what came up for me too. And that helps me, I guess, reconnect with them and meet them where they're at, which is so, so, so important. But I've decided, she doesn't even know it yet, but I've decided that based on what she said, I've decided I want to have a go at tripling my income in 12 weeks. So it's not going to be something that I do right now because, again, if you've been listening for a little while, you'll know that one of the things that I'm doing at the moment is I'm doing a I'm almost 2/3 of the way through a 90-day plan for manifesting $100 in the $100, 100K um, in a quarter in the business again. So yeah, I think I'm on month 2 of 3 months, and I'm up to day I think 26 on month 2. So I've got like a month and a week to go or something like that. So anyway, I'll finish that one first. But it's in my awareness now that I want to have a go for me of doubling my own income in 12 weeks because I feel inspired by her results. And if she can do it, that's proof that I can do it, right? The way she's been able to do it is a few things. It was about recognizing she needed help and allowing herself to actually get it and finding a way to get it. Because here's the other thing, like when people join Momentum, they're not millionaires. They don't have bucket loads of money. They got to figure out how they're going to pay for it. And of course I meet them halfway, and I've got, reduced payment plans and stuff like that. Like they can start for 275 a month for the first 6 months, right? So it's about not even 2 session fees. And they certainly all make enough money um, within the first little while of being able to repay that, right? It's never been an issue. What was I going to say? Yeah, so it was by allowing themselves to actually get the help. And then it was by trusting the process. Then it was by implementing. Then it was like checking in, getting help. Am I on the right track? Is this working? But the reason that we track the data and the reason it's so important is because it eliminates imposter syndrome when you can see your results, like what's happened for her. And, the other client that I told you about that had, she was celebrating a couple of weeks ago that she had an increase of 29% in her income. So she wouldn't have realized that if I hadn't said to her, show me your numbers. So, yeah, numbers are really important. And you don't have to track things that are complicated, and you don't have to use spreadsheets, and you don't have to do that. Like, I've got ways. I've got ways. I'm a visual person. I love a chart. So I give them options of how they can track. But it's the tracking that really helps. And then when you've got that, identity shifts happen, mindset shifts happen, um, you know, doors open, abundance starts to happen. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so this episode today was about how to know if you've got a sustainability issue with your practice. 5 of the signs are the feast or famine, the inconsistency with the finances, working longer hours, doing more things, being really busy, but still not seeing a, good shift in the bookings, the clients, the inquiries, the revenue, being able to pay yourself, all that kind of stuff. It's an increased awareness of self-doubt, of the self-talk. I'm not good at this. It's been defensive. It's been combative. It's been triggered. It's been argumentative. It's been, this won't work for me. Yep, tried that. It's having that fixed mindset, that closed mindset. Um, and it's about feeling like you're constantly chasing. It's about feeling like you're missing something and it keeps you in that hustle mode. They're the signs that you don't have a sustainable practice and that therefore you've got a sustainability issue. So, yeah, I hope this is helpful in terms of helping raise your awareness around what could be going on. You don't need to be doing more things. You're good at what you do in terms of the therapy. You don't need to be doing more things. You don't have a visibility issue. It's not about getting in new directories and stuff like that. It's not about, all the things that probably you're thinking it is. It's about, I guess, having a gap there in terms of understanding what sustainability looks like and understanding how to implement it in your private practice so that you can get rid of all of these 5 signs and symptoms. Anyway, That's one of the things that I really love helping people with, and it's the best. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have a really, 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 really lovely day. If you've got any questions about anything, feel free to shoot me an email. It's just support@brooklynstorm.com, or leave a comment on the podcast, or, track me down on socials. I'm more of a Facebook person. It's Brooklyn Storm on Facebook or Instagram at the Private Practice Coach. Okay. You can also go and visit the website, brooklynstorm.com, where if you want to, you can get some help with a free 15-minute business strategy consultation, or you can go and find out, what's available in terms of support to get you out of this sort of rut that you might be finding yourself in, if you are indeed in one. Okay, have a beautiful day. Talk to you soon. Bye.